Welcome to the Conrad Homestead.
So this video is going to be a compilation of video clips that we took of the ceiling. Now we didn't do the ceiling all at once. It's kind of broken down into different points, but we gathered all the ceiling clips just to make this particular video. So this particular ceiling that we're seeing here is what you would call acoustic tile. And it's basically like a wood pulp composite. I'm guessing the major uses of it is a sound dampener because the upstairs attic was kind of turned into a bedroom. So this would have been used to dampen the sound in between that living space and the downstairs. So this is kind of a new product for us. We've never dealt with anything like this.
These are done mainly on older homes, right? That's the reason?
This is almost like a commercial. I've seen these in a commercial application. I've never seen them in a residential application like this. But it makes sense. It's fairly quick to install and it meets the need. It probably has some insulation value as well. I can't think that the value would be very high. I'm sure it does separate the upstairs from the downstairs heat or cold transfer a little bit. So that may be another reason that they put these in.
And then for aesthetic, it did make it have a nice clean cut look. It's not the look that we decided to go for. I know that we talked a little bit about keeping the ceiling tiles or removing them. I think it's a little bit more of an older style, or as like you had said, commercial. So I know for me, I'm like, they've gotta go. I didn't really know what was going
all at once sometimes.
I didn't know what was going to be underneath them. I know we had taken a piece of it down in another part of the house.
Yep.
But we didn't really know what kind of surprises would be waiting underneath these tiles. So I know that as we pulled them down, first we had to dodge all the dust. You really can't see in this video the justice of the dust. Like there's just so much dust that's coming down. You can see Paul's face a couple times, like he'll squint and you can see that he's just getting like a mouthful of it. Afterwards there was like layers of dust everywhere. Everywhere that there was a surface to collect dust, there was dust. We were coughing afterwards too because of the dust.
Yeah, you would, this is kind of a sealed system, so you'd kind of wonder where the dust would come from. The roof has the tongue and groove, or the shiplap, some people call it. So that is somewhat sealed, so it's hard to imagine where all that dust and dirt comes from. But if you have a house that's this old, you know, it does have time to kind of accumulate. I know you can see in some of these points where there's vents. And it is possible that that vent was not sealed correctly so that it could leak dirt and debris up above the ceiling tiles. So it's able to get between the old wood tongue and groove ceiling and these ceiling tiles.
Two of the rooms that we removed the ceiling tiles, they had these rails.
Yeah, it looks like you had two different installation crews or two different methods of putting these in. In the, what would that be, the west 2 rooms,
which will eventually be the living room and the school room.
Yeah, so those, the west 2, the schoolroom and the living room, both have these metal tracks. So those are actually harder to take down than the ceiling tiles. The ceiling tiles came down real easy. In the other 2 rooms, they put them up just with staples, like with a staple gun. And that actually made a hassle too. It wasn't as bad as the rails. The staples were easier. But I can probably say that because Victoria took down most of the staples, so.
And she was a trooper too, because I know a couple times I had been cooking and doing stuff, and I'm like, where's Victoria? And they're like, oh, she's working. And then when I saw what she had done, I was mind blown. I had not realized she was our little busy aunt. She didn't have a leader, but she was working hard, and she was on the ladder removing the staples. And so I do have video clips of a little bit of video clips of her doing it, but I was so proud of her. So I just want to give a little bit of a shout out to her because she did such a great job.
Yeah, there was a point where put her on that task and she just kind of took it, and then whenever she didn't have something else that we gave her to do, she'd keep going back to that. Like I'd go off feeding animals or doing something else, and then she just stuck to it. And it's good that the kids are on board with this. I mean, they're really right there in the middle of it. They're learning, and they are helping this process go by a lot quicker. There's a lot of little tedious tasks that it's almost like giving me 4 extra sets of hands sometimes, where somebody would have to do these things. You know, somebody would have to go through. You can see they're here picking up. If they're not there picking up those, I got to bend down and pick up every single tile. If they're not pulling nails out of the board, somebody's got to pull all the nails out of the board. So they help tremendously. I can't say it enough that they definitely accelerate the work that you see going on.
And it's definitely beneficial that you're so tall, because you can reach it. None of us can reach the tiles and pull them down the way you see it done. You know, in this video clip, you just see him standing up and pulling them, but Paul's over 6 foot, so it's not as difficult in comparison. There's poor David with dust in his eyes. So it'd be a lot harder for us if we had to do it.
The ceilings are right around 8 foot tall, so that does make it nice that I can reach it from the ground. No ladders are required. There is sometimes, like when I was pulling out the staples, I had to take a break. Just when you're working over your head for long periods of time, you do get that fatigue in your shoulders and in your back and your neck.
That's one of the reasons why this is a collection of the video footages, because a lot of the times you would start something and then you would take off and you would work on a wall or something. And I remember asking you, why do you keep starting something? And you're like, oh, to give my arms a break, because it's tedious having your arms up that position for so long.
Okay, so here's the metal strips coming down. Basically, you lock in one end, and then when you put the next tile in, that locks in the other end of the tile. So it's basically like a continuous bond. So the metal holds one end of the tile, and then the other end of the tile is held by the other tile before it, if that makes sense. But those metal strips have to come down. We're not quite sure exactly what we're going to do on the ceiling yet. We may cover it with drywall, and we may just paint the shiplap and leave it. Because we've taken out some walls, that will require some splicing, because wherever the walls got taken out, at those points, because the wall was already there, the boards on the ceiling do not overlap. They just have a hole where the wall was. I don't see an exact video that shows that, but I guess we could put that in somewhere.
Well, no, that's for a later video. That's for the wall video.
So let me just make a note here. So this is actually, this looks like this is in the kitchen area. So this area is an area on the east side of the house, one of the east 2 rooms, that does not have those metal clips on them. So they were just stapled directly to the ceiling. So those don't come out as easy. So once you get them going, it's not like the metal where you can get them going. You have to do them all one at a time and kind of break them out.
So it seems like each style has its own pros and cons, though, right? Because the track ones, you have to tack the tracks.
Right. Yeah, these were harder to get the tiles out, and then the ones with the tracks were harder to get the tracks out.
So I know for the ceiling, decoratively, I don't know if I want to keep the shiplap on the roof or not, because it's very farmhouse, country, and I don't know if I really want to go for that style. But it's part of the house, so part of me wants to keep it, but then I also have the issue with the dust. We are still going to have people walking up and down upstairs, so I don't know how much dust is going to be seeping down. So we haven't decided yet if we're going to sand it down and then paint it and keep shiplap, or if we want to add drywall. I know for cost-wise, it's probably better keep the shiplap.
Yeah, if we don't have to add drywall. There are ways to seal it too. If we put a couple of really thick coats of paint on there, it should seal the tongue and the groove portion of it, and then just kind of take another measure of sealing and go through and caulk around wherever there is the larger voids, which isn't very common.
I know for me, right now, the way I'm feeling is I'm leaning more and more towards keeping the shiplap, just because I've been looking at different things on Pinterest, and I do want to keep true to the fact that we live in the country. This was already there, and I know that if you begin to price things, the shiplap's really expensive. Part of me just really likes drywall. I like the clean cut of drywall. So in the future, one of our plans is to add recessed lighting. As you can see here where the fan is with Paul, he does have a clearing, but we want to bring in more light. We like light. In our last house, we had a lot of light. So we definitely want to add some recessed lighting throughout all the rooms.
Yeah, each one of these rooms will probably get between 4 and 6 can lights just to have a distributed light. The nice thing about the recessed can light too is that the fixture's out of the way, and once it's there, it's done. It's a good value, I think, for what it is.
I don't know yet if we're going to have ceiling fans in all the rooms either. I know right now each room has a ceiling fan, but because we're ripping out walls, which will be another video coming soon, I'm in the process of collecting all the footage for that, which is really exciting. It's exciting to see the house, but I don't know if each room's gonna have a ceiling fan.
Well, that's gonna wrap up this video. We do thank you for watching the video as always, and make sure if you found any information, education, entertainment value in this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to our channel, we ask you to consider hitting the subscribe button and then selecting all, and then you'll get notifications whenever we put out a new video, so you can keep track of the progress that we're making on this project. So this is going to wrap up our ceiling collection, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.